This one will go to Mr. Kasevich first. What ideas do you have to better promote Franklin to regional and national commercial developers, retailers, and restaurants?
Well, a few years ago, we were working on the 27th Street corridor in conjunction with Oak Creek. We were working on promoting a plan to draw people to the area. I don't know what happened over the last 3 years, but it seems to have died. As soon as the proposed name for the district came out, it was ridiculed, and many people just walked away from it because they couldn't put up with a little bit of heat over the name that was chosen. I feel that that was weak leadership, spineless, to just walk away from a project that we had spent much time and many dollars on, and to say, well, I can't take the heat. They don't like the name Boomguard, so we're going to just put it on the back burner and hope everybody forgets that we were working on this and all the money that was spent. Franklin has a lot of potential for growth south, and there's a lot of open land out there, and we need to develop it. And we need to do it with quality development. Northwestern Mutual set the bar, and that's what attracted a lot of development to Franklin. But over the last few years, it's been pretty dormant. Now, of course, we can blame a lot of that on the economy, but that doesn't explain why the consuls from both cities would walk away from the project after all the time and money that had been spent. They just, they bailed on it, and I feel that was weak leadership. And I would promote, trying to get people, make Franklin a destination. Maybe we can come up with a better name, but it's just that people walked away from it, and it's a shame because we had something good going, and it fell apart. That's all.
Thank you, Mr. Kasevich.
If I could add one thing, Pete, if you could just maybe back off a little bit, and then we'll get Kristen to come a little bit closer, and that will be good.
I want to make sure I'm heard.
All right, to repeat the question. What ideas do you have to better promote Franklin to regional and national commercial developers, retailers, and restaurants? Mr. Schick.
Well, what's interesting is that when as a military commander, which I was for a number of years, when we have these type problems, what we did is sat down, and for some reason, we worked it out. How could we deploy to the places we do deploy without teamwork? Frankly, folks, I don't see too doggone much teamwork taking place, and here we are, years into this, and I read these stories, and I've done my homework. I've looked back in the history of what's gone on in this community, and I'm saying we got a lot of bright people around there, but I'm sorry, I do not see things coming up that would indicate to me as far as how we should go about doing this. I do know this, that when we have ordinances that I happen to look through, how many have seen the book that they have to use that if you want to come here, and go talk to several people who want to start their businesses here. It's I don't know what you'd call it. All I know is it certainly stifles business. And when you talk to Northwestern Mutual, etc., they're going to tell you that story. So what we have to do, start getting our act together, especially with what we got coming up, and really sit down. We're a young city still, and we got to really find out what we want to do with our land and what we want to do as far as our business. Thank you.
Thank you. The question again, what ideas do you have to better promote Franklin to regional and national commercial developers, retailers, and restaurants? Ms. Wilhelm.
Well, we obviously need to, this one's not working?
Okay.
No, it is.
Okay.
If you're close enough, it's great.
Let's sit on top of it. Okay. We obviously need to market our city more. When I went into City Hall and mentioned a business, the city clerk said, oh, I didn't even know we had that. How can we have a business come in and have city staff in our community not even know about that? That to me spells we are not marketing our city like we should. We're not telling people about the businesses that are out there. I've done my best in newsletters to try to let people know about the new businesses that open up so people can patronize those businesses and keep our money in Franklin. The other thing I see we do a lot of is we do what's called edge development. 27th Street corridor is on the edge. Everything up by Southbridge is on the edge. If College Avenue expands to 4 lanes, that will be on the edge. We are driving people out of our community instead of bringing people in. We need a centralized area for economic development that can pull this community together, and I think that that's really what needs to be done. I think that we really need to sell ourselves. That's the main thing. And then we need to decide on what area is going to be our central location and try to build on that rather than doing the outside edge type development.
Thank you. The question again, what ideas do you have to better promote Franklin to regional and national commercial developers, retailers, and restaurants? Mr. Taylor.
There's an advantage of being fourth, I guess, because you can touch on a number of things. One, the ordinance, there are issues with our ordinances. That's why I created the Development Process Review Committee back a year ago, January, which would help speed up the process and encourage development here in Franklin. When you look at the bounds of Franklin, the portion that was west of the Fox property, the owner of the property, Dave Hinsman, I don't think he owns it, I'm not sure what the deal is anymore, but he had statistics that showed that the demographics in Franklin are better than that of Brookfield. So we have the number of households, the income available to draw a lot of national retailers. But I want to talk a little bit about, I think, 27th Street. I'm glad, Pete, you brought it up. Northwestern Mutual, Wheaton, and Staybridge came here without this big corridor vision, this big plan. It happened. And I'm glad you've gone record as supporting 27th Street. And the price tag of like $13 million to the city of Franklin taxpayers to do the streetscaping and all the frilly sidewalks and artwork and whatever's gonna go on there. $13 million. And you do have a business on 27th Street, which I never understood why there was no abstaining from the votes. But I guess that's another issue. I think we have to look at also our natural resource issues. We have the Four Corners, and Jim O'Malley owns a good chunk of property, but you have a wetland right in the middle that's preventing us from developing that property. So we have to look at mitigation and land banking, and I think that right now the state of Minnesota has some state laws that would work here, and I know that we've talked to our state legislators about maybe looking at adopting that here in Wisconsin. So I think there's a number of things we have to do. First, obviously, get our house in order, but we're going to need some help from the state and with the good relationship with the governor's office and the state legislature. Hopefully we can do that.